The sky over Valeris burned like a second sun. Flames licked the towers of crystal. Once beautiful cities now collapsed under the weight of shadows. The Thalaria, a race known across the stars for their kindness and peace, were screaming. Anger, not in war. In terror, their weapons were useless. Their prayers unheard, their cities crumbling. Something had come through the rift above their world. Something old, shapeless, and hungry, and it was spreading fast. No one knew what it was. No one knew how to stop it. For days, the Thaleri High Council sent desperate messages across the galaxy. "We are not soldiers," their leader, Elder Viro, said in his final broadcast. His silver-blue eyes trembled as he looked into the camera. "We have no armies. We have no warships. Please, if anyone is out there, help us. We need rescuers. We need hope." But the stars stayed quiet until Earth answered. The message came. Without warning, no voice, no symbols, no face. Just a ping on the Thalaria's come towers, a single, dark pulsing signal, too strong to trace. Then moments later, the sky cracked open again, but this time, it was not monsters, it was them. A fleet of warships bigger than anything the Thaleri had seen descended like silent blades. Their hulls were matte black, shaped like jagged beasts. No windows, no lights, no insignias. Just the symbol of Earth's secret military force, scorched into metal, a skull on fire. Devouring a planet, the Thaleri didn't cheer. They didn't sing with joy. They stared in silence, their hearts cold. These were not diplomats. These were not doctors. These were monsters of their own, the first human ship. Touchdown in the middle of the capital, Velen. A landing pod the size of a small building smashed into the marble plaza, crushing 3 statues beneath it. The doors hissed open, not slow, not gentle, but with a hydraulic slam like a beast being let out of a cage. The Deathworlders had arrived. Their leader stepped out first. He was tall and armored, in something that shimmered like smoke. His face was hidden behind a mask shaped like a wolf's skull. Around his waist, a belt held weapons not even the Thaleri had names for. His call sign, painted on his shoulder in red, grave dot. 6 more followed him, each more terrifying than the last. One had mechanical limbs and a backpack full of acid canisters. Another had no visible eyes, only a helmet that pulsed with heat. One walked with 4 legs like a beast. He spoke like a scholar. The Thaleri guards lowered their weapons when the humans stepped forward. Not in welcome. In fear, Elder Viros tried to speak. "Thank you for answering our call," he said, hands raised in the Thaleri greeting. Grave didn't reply. He scanned the ruins ahead, looked at his team, and spoke just 3 words. "Mark the zone." Then they moved fast, silent, like predators. They ignored the people, ignored the palace. They moved toward the broken skyline where the dark growth had started to crawl over buildings like mold. That's where it was growing. That's what they had come for, the Thaleri scientists tried to explain. "We don't understand what it is. It just eats light, energy, even thoughts. And it's changing, getting smarter." One human, a woman, with white tattoos glowing on her face, turned to them. "You tried to study it?" she asked. The scientist nodded. "Of course, we're peaceful." She raised a plasma pistol and fired at their research terminal, shattering it. "No more studying," she said. "You're not doctors, you're infection vectors." Viros stepped forward again, nervous. "Please. There are still thousands alive in the South District, if you could escort them." But he stopped. He heard it. The rumble far across the city. The sky began to shake. Something massive moved through the buildings, its shape hard to follow, as if it wasn't truly there. Light bent around it. And then came the screams. The shadow had returned. The Thaleri guards panicked. Civilians ran. Buildings collapsed, but the humans, they moved toward it. Grave and his team ran into the collapsing city like hunters chasing prey. They activated weapons that didn't fire bullets or beams but fields. Waves of crackling energy that bent space and crushed matter. One soldier tossed a sphere into the air. It floated and burst in a 360-degree arc of white fire, melting the shadow as it passed. The Thaleri watched from afar, stunned. These humans didn't fight like soldiers. They fought like apex predators. Cold, focused, efficient, and brutal. One Deathworlder, the one called Houndfound, a Thaleri girl trapped beneath rubble. Her leg was broken. She looked up at him with pleading eyes. Please, help. He looked down, cold, calculating. Then, without speaking, he crushed the rock, trapping her, and walked away. Viros saw this. He turned to the human officer standing beside him. You don't help your wounded? The man replied without emotion. She's not ours? Suddenly, one of the buildings near the infected zone exploded. From the smoke rose a creature 3 stories tall, its body shifting between. Solid and liquid, its face flickering between Thaleri expressions like a broken mirror. The humans didn't flinch. Grave aimed a long cannon at it and fired once. The creature imploded, pulled into itself until it collapsed into a puddle of black ash. Then came the moment that changed everything. Grave activated his wrist device. High command, he said. Threat confirmed. It's worse than the files. Recommend planet-level purge. Viros heard this. What does that mean? Grave looked at him through the skull mask. It means if we can't stop it, you glass your planet. No. Stepped back in horror. You can't. There are still millions of us. Grave didn't blink. Not if this thing gets off-world. He walked past the Elder. The Thaleri had asked for help, but they didn't understand Earth. They didn't understand. What kind of species answered calls like these? Earth didn't send heroes. Earth sent Deathworlders, and death always followed. The ship named Vulture 1 wasn't built for comfort. Wasn't built for style or honor or exploration. It was built to carry monsters inside its dark hole. The 7 members of Strike Team Echo sat in silence, weapons resting against their legs, breathing slow and steady. No one spoke. They rarely needed to. These weren't men and women anymore. They were something else, honed over generations, trained beyond human limits, shaped by pain, war, and survival. Grave sat at the center. Helmet off now, revealing a scarred face with sharp eyes that had seen too much. Beside him sat Wraith, the quietest of them all. No one knew his real name anymore. His suit was coated in a black material that made him nearly invisible in low light. Across from him, Hound cleaned the blood from his gauntlet with a razor-edged cloth. He wasn't interested in mercy, just the mission. The Thaleri didn't know it yet. But Earth hadn't sent its best. It had sent its worst. The kind of humans that other humans feared. Deathworlders weren't born. They were chosen. Raised. In gravity wells, fed synthetic protein and fear, tested in zero-atmosphere jungle trials. They were punished for weakness. Forged for war. They didn't save worlds. They neutralized threats. And now, next mission was in orbit. Thaleri Command had begged Grave to wait. Let us prepare a welcoming fleet, they had said. Let us send envoys, translators, scientists. Grave said nothing. He simply launched Vulture 1. Now. They hovered above the second moon of Thaleri Prime. The shadow creatures had been traced here, hiding beneath the surface. Burrowing tunnels, infecting the crust with their black fungus. Thaleri's sensors had failed to detect the spread, but Earth's tech hadn't. Wraith looked at his scanner. They're adapting, he said. His voice was like wind on stone. Changing faster than expected. Hound growled. Good I was. Getting bored. The pilot, a cyborg named Elex, turned her head from the controls. Half her skull was synthetic. One glowing red. I never blinked. We have 5 minutes before the moon's defense net resets, she said. In and out, or we get fried. Copy that, Grave said. Drop us, double quotes. The hatch opened. No safety belts. They jumped. 7 bodies fell like comets toward the moon's cracked surface. No sound, no fear, just speed. The impact would kill normal soldiers. But not them. not monsters. They slammed into the rock with enough force to leave craters. Dust clouds exploded. Shadow creatures erupted from the cracks but were met with bullets made of collapsing matter, plasma blades that cut through time, itself and EMP bombs that erased their thoughts mid-scream. Wraith vanished into the dark. His movement couldn't be tracked. One by one, the shadows fell without ever knowing they were hunted. Hound charged into a swarm of 10. He tore them apart with his bare hands. Grave moved with machine precision. Every step placed, every shot counted. Every enemy dash eliminated above. The Thaleri watched from orbit, horrified. This isn't rescue, whispered one officer. The counselor of defense turned pale. They're not rescuers. They're exterminators. Down below, the tunnels opened into a vast chamber. Inside, the team found it. The hive heart. A pulsing, living orb of black veins and golden glow embedded into the moon's crust. It was massive, nearly 50 meters wide. Around it, hundreds of shadow creatures knelt, worshipping it. Some had taken Thaleri shapes. Others had begun copying the humans. Hound stepped back. They've seen us. They're trying to become us. Grave activated his wrist module. Raven. Status. A voice answered. Female. Synthetic. Calm. Analyzing biomass. Confirmed neural mimicry. They're learning language, strategy, face structure. Estimated spread in 19 days. Full. Planetary merge? Suggested action? Annihilation? Wraith was already setting charges above them. The heart began to whisper, not in words, but in feelings. Warmth, memories, regret, hope, all stolen. All used. It was trying to make them hesitate. It failed. Grave looked at his team. On my mark. All nodded. 3. The heart began to pulse. Faster, too. The whispers grew louder, pleading, twisting, reaching into their heads. 1. They triggered the charges. The entire chamber exploded upward in a fiery storm that cracked the moon's surface. The hive heart screamed in pure energy as it was torn apart, molecule by molecule. The shockwave flung shadow creatures into orbit, where Vulture One's forward cannons burned them to ash. The team was back on board before the moon finished collapsing. No celebration. No talking, just silence, until Grave finally said, "It's adapting too fast." Wraith looked up. Need to go deeper. Find the core. Back on Thaleri Prime, Elder Viros confronted the humans as they returned. We watched what you did. You blew up an entire moon. You didn't even try to talk to the things down there. Grave took off his mask and looked Viros in the eye. They don't talk. Viros's voice shook. You're destroying everything, no? Grave said. You're the only reason anything's still alive. Another Deathworlder shade walked up. Her skin was ink black, her suit humming with faint. Static. She handed Viros a datapad. What's this? He asked. Proof. The pad showed a projection of the galaxy. Over 100 systems marked in red. All dead. Each one had sent a similar sauce over the past 2 centuries. Each one had been ignored. Viros stared. But we never knew. No one does, Shade said coldly. By the time anyone responds, the things have already won. Then why are you here? Graves' voice was low. Because we're not like the rest. He turned, walking back toward the hangar. Your planet isn't safe yet. It was just the surface layer. The real infection is deeper. Viros swallowed. And what if you can't? Stop it. Grave paused, then said something that chilled everyone in the room. Then we do what we were born to do. He looked back. We end the world before the world ends us. Beneath the shattered sky of Thaleri Prime, the ground itself had begun to bleed. Crimson rivers seeped from the cracks in the earth, where the shadow infection burrowed deep. Trees with crystal leaves now twisted into thorn spines, shimmering. Lakes turned black, their surfaces rippling with silent screams. The infection was no longer spreading, it was evolving. Strike Team Echo had seen planetary death before. It burned whole colonies infected with alien parasites. But this wasn't just infestation. This was something older, something with purpose. Grave stood atop a ruined Thaleri tower, his enhanced visor scanning the planet's core. The data was impossible. Readings didn't match any known biological system. Every hour the infection grew faster, forming structures that resembled brains, not cells. Not tumors, thought. It's building something, he muttered. Something intelligent. Down below, Dr. Valia, the only surviving xenobiologist from Earth's Division 9, confirmed the impossible. This isn't just spreading, it's calculating. Every attack we make, it adjusts, learns, mimics. I've never seen anything like it. Wraith approached, holding a dead shadowling in his arms. The creature's skin shimmered in the sunlight, cycling through images' faces. Thaleri children. Human soldiers. Wraith's own reflection. It's not just wearing shapes, he said. It's trying to understand what makes us us. Meanwhile, Hound and Shade led a fire team deep into the planet's underbelly. What they found chilled even them. Not a nest. A cathedral. Carved into the stone was a massive, unnatural structure, a pulsing mass of flesh and metal, surrounded by hundreds of kneeling shadow creatures. But they weren't just creatures anymore. They were copies. Human-shaped, Thaleri-shaped, half-formed mockeries of life. Their eyes empty, their mouths moving in silent mimicry of words they didn't understand. Hound activated his come. Grave, you need to see this. When Grave arrived, his blood ran cold. The cathedral walls were painted in symbols. Not Thaleri, not ancient alien script. Earth runes, old Terran letters, words from forgotten wars. Project Revenant, one section read. Another, they are memory, not flesh. And then, near the center, scratched over thousands of times, we called it the Silence Mind. Dr. Valia gasped. This isn't the first time Earth met this species. Wraith's voice was calm but grim. It's not even the second. Grave clenched his fists. Raven, access Black Archive logs. Project Revenant, confirm origin. Raven hesitated, then answered, accessing. Project Revenant was a black site. Experiment, 74 years ago. Earth scientists attempted to map cognitive echoes from deceased neural matter. The result was a fragmented intelligence that displayed hunger, memory leaching, and shape-shifting behavior. Termination protocol? Grave asked. Failure? The entity escaped? Final report? Lost to deep space? Double quotes, Dr. Valia stepped back. So the Silence Mind? It's not native to Thaleri. It's what we created. Grave didn't look surprised. Earth made a lot of monsters. We just lost track of this one. Wraith turned. Then it followed us. No, Grave said. It waited, and when it sensed life again, it adapted. Suddenly, the chamber began to vibrate. The mimic creatures. Around them rose, eyes glowing, mouths moving in perfect unison, and then, for the first time, the enemy spoke. You remember us? The voice was hundreds layered together. Male, female, alien, human, all at once. You left us in the dark, alone, forgotten. So we remembered you, all of you. Dr. Valia froze. It's reading our minds. It knows what we fear. The silence. Mind laughed. Not a sound, but a feeling. The feeling of being watched, judged, known. You bring your monsters to kill us. But you are the monsters. You build weapons. You erase what you fear. Now we do the same. The mimic creatures moved at once. Strike Team Echo opened fire. Hound threw an incineration charge. Shade released a sonic disruptor. Grave pulled out a gravity hammer and shattered the front wave. Still, the enemy kept coming. You cannot kill, thought the voice whispered in their minds. You cannot kill what was born inside you. Back on the surface, Viros begged the humans to retreat. You can't win. We've seen your soldiers die. We've seen their minds break. Grave responded with a voice like steel. We don't run. We end threats. Dr. Valia pulled Grave aside. This isn't a war you can win with bullets. It's already inside people, inside minds. Grave stared at her. Then we take the minds down with it. She frowned. Oh, yeah. Talking genocide. He didn't blink. I'm talking containment. Raven cut in. Admiral, I must warn you. If the silence mind reaches Earth's network, it will use our technology against us. We must stop it here, no matter the cost. Suddenly, alarms blared. The planet's southern hemisphere, once stable, was now rising. Not metaphorically, literally mountains. Lifted, forests cracked. Cities began floating into the sky. The silence mind was trying to launch. It's building a ship, Wraith said. From the planet itself, Grave raised his voice to the team. All units, focus fire on the liftoff zone. I want everything we've got. Above the world, Vulture 1 and 3 gunships began their assault. Laser cannons, railguns, orbital missiles, even a prototype solar lance. But the silence mind adapted again. It absorbed the energy, twisted it, reflected it back. 1 ship F's. Hunter's cry was torn in 2 midair. Grave looked at the chaos and whispered, "It's no longer hiding. It's becoming something bigger, something worse." Dr. Valia's hands shook. There's only one option left. We need to use the protocol Burnstorm. The others froze. That protocol was never supposed to be used. It called for a full planetary detonation, melting the crust, boiling the atmosphere, burning everything. Your people won't survive, Wraith said. Grave's eyes narrowed. They're already gone.
Ah!
Back on the ground, Viro's screamed over Combs. What are you doing? Grave responded with a line no one forgot. We came to stop a threat, not save a planet. As the weapon prepared, the silence mind spoke again. You. Fear us because we are what you bury. We are your regrets, your failures. You didn't create us. You left us. Grave stared into the sky. Not this time. The detonation countdown began, and the planet trembled. The sky over Thalari Prime was no longer blue. It had turned a deep, burning red, the color of blood and fury, as the planet itself twisted in agony. Mountains cracked open like eggshells. Gravity pulses distorted the clouds. Rivers boiled, evaporating into vapor storms. Deep below, where the enemy stirred, the hive spires pulsed like veins in a dying beast. Strike Team Echo stood at the edge of the final battlefield. The silence. Mind was no longer hiding. It had pulled the planet's crust into a crown of jagged spires, a fortress made of infected stone, flesh, and stolen technology. It wasn't just mimicking life any more, it was assembling something, something terrifying, something familiar from the rising fortress, shape-formed. A giant knot, just any shape. A human, 30 meters tall, black skin gleaming like obsidian. Sphisa, perfect copy of Graves. Its chest, marked with the burning skull insignia of the Deathworlders, it was mocking them. Hound stepped forward, eyes wide with fury. That's you, Grave. Grave didn't answer. He was staring straight at the monster. His voice was flat. It's learning who we are, trying to outdo us. Beside him, Wraith cocked his head. Then let's show it what real monsters can do. The silence mind's titan raised its hand. The world trembled. Thousands of shadow creatures emerged from the cracks in the earth crawling, floating, shifting into nightmare forms. Some looked like the Thalari, others looked like past human enemies. But the most dangerous were the ones that had no face, just shifting masses of teeth and memories, and they charged. Echo. Team responded like only Deathworlders could. Hound activated his rage serum implant. His eyes turned black. Leaped into the swarm, tearing through creatures with his bare hands. Roaring like a beast, .WRAITH disappeared, a phantom slipping through the shadows. One by one, command units among the enemy collapsed, without ever seeing what killed them. Shade hovered in the air, wrapped in a storm of electromagnetic knives. Slicing shadowings out of the sky like a hurricane, Dr. Valia, despite not being a soldier, manned the orbital strike panel inside Vulture 1, and guided plasma bursts into the heart of the enemy lines. But it wasn't enough. The Titan moved. Slow, deliberate, like it knew it couldn't lose. Every time Echo Team killed a beast, did that and remember? The next one was faster, stronger, harder to kill. Graves stood at the front. Watching it, "This isn't a creature anymore," he said. "It's evolution, in real time." Then, the Titan opened its mouth and spoke. Grave, Wraith, Shade, Hound, Valia. "We are you." Everyone froze. The voice was perfect, not alien, not distorted. It was the voice of each of them, layered over each other like a choir. You tried to destroy your past, you buried what you were. But we remember. We always remember. Suddenly, Valia's tablet went dark. A transmission was overriding all frequencies. "Earth Command. Strike Team Echo," came the voice of General Strass from Earth. "We've received your reports. Your weapons failed. Your enemy is adapting. Orders confirmed. Burnstorm protocol is now active." "Initiate planetary termination," Grave responded calmly. "Confirmed. Countdown. 5 minutes," Evac advised. Grave didn't move. He stared. At the Silence Mind, at his own face looking back at him. "This thing doesn't want to win," he whispered. "It wants to replace us." Shade turned. "Then we stop it here." The Silence Mind raised its arms, and the Titan charged. What followed was chaos. The ground cracked. Earth split. Lightning filled the sky. Strike Team Echo rushed to intercept. Hound threw a gravity spike into the Titan's path, slowing it down by seconds. Wraith climbed onto its back like a ghost. Stabbing energy blades into joints, the Titan roared. A sound like planets breaking. It grabbed Wraith and hurled him across. The battlefield hit the side of a cliff. His armor cracked. Blood leaked from his helmet. Shade flew in, firing her last plasma lance. The beam tore into the Titan's shoulder. But it didn't fall. It laughed. Dr. Valia screamed into Cums. "It's feeding off the battle. Every memory, every movement, it's using it all." Graves stared at the creature at the echo of himself. He reached into his belt, pulled out a cylinder. "The last Hellcora microsingularity bomb, back off," he said. Wraith coughed over Cums. "That'll kill you, I'm already dead." He ran forward straight at the Titan. The creature saw him and smiled. "You would kill yourself just to kill us?" it whispered. Grave didn't respond. He leaped into the air onto the Titans. Chest punched deep into the core. "You're not us," he growled. "You're the memory of a mistake." Then he triggered the Hellcore. A blinding flash dot silence. The shockwave was silent, but the Titan was gone. Obliterated. Along with Grave, the countdown stopped. Burnstorm protocol was cancelled. From the smoke, the sky cleared. The shadow creatures began collapsing, their connection dash severed. The Silence Mind had lost its host. Shade retrieved what was left of Graves' helmet. Wraith limped forward. He knew it had to be him, said, because it wore his face. Hound stood over the ruins, bloodied and breathing heavy. "So, is it over?" Dr. Valia looked at the readouts. No signals, no shadow, no memory nodes. And yet, she didn't smile, because something still echoed in her mind. That voice. Not angry, not hateful, just curious. "We are what you buried. What else is still buried? Waiting." She said nothing. They climbed aboard Vulture 1 and flew into orbit, leaving the smoldering battlefield behind. The sky above Thaleri Prime was clear again, blue, bright, almost beautiful, but it was a lie beneath the calm. Death still lurked in the cracks of the world. Echo Team had silenced the Silence Mind's core, destroyed its massive titan, and lost. Grave in the process. Yet none of them believed it was truly over. A creature that could infect memory didn't die that easily. Back aboard Vulture 1. Silence hung heavy. Graves' helmet sat on the command console cracked, burnt but untouched. No one dared move it. Not even Hound, who never flinched in battle. Not even Wraith, who never spoke more than necessary. Shade stood by the viewport, watching the scorched planet rotate beneath them. Her voice broke the silence first. He gave everything to stop it. He bought us time, Wraith added softly. But Dr. Volia wasn't convinced. She paced across the floor, her datapad glowing with sensor data from the ruined battlefield. There's no movement, no readings, she said. But there's something wrong. Silence is too perfect. It's a false calm, Wraith muttered. Same tactic we saw in Malin 3? Exactly, Volia nodded. It's what the silence mind wants. To make us leave. To think it's over. That's when the emergency ping struck the console. A signal from the surface, encoded in Thaleri. Dialect but scrambled, Valia decoded it instantly. Do not trust the council. They have lied. We opened the vault again. Everyone froze. Shade turned sharply. What vault? No one answered. Not until the door to the bridge slid open. Viros, the Thaleri elder, stood there flanked by 2 guards, his face calm but his hands shaking. You weren't supposed to see that, he said. Wraith stepped forward. What did you open? Viros sighed. We thought it was over. After your commander destroyed the hive, we believed it was safe. You thought, Shade hissed. You hoped. No, Viros admitted. That's why we opened the vault. It's beneath the capital. Relic site from the early Thaleri cycles. Long before we knew what it held. Dr. Valia's eyes narrowed. You knew the silence mind was there all along. Didn't know what it was, Viro shouted. Centuries ago, we found strange devices, dormant cores, fragments that whispered, but they gave us knowledge, medicine, energy, language, evolution. They built our civilization. How could we destroy that? 'Cause it cost you your planet, Shade said coldly. But Viros wasn't done. He stepped forward, desperate. You don't understand. We've been watching Earth for years. We saw what you've become, your wars, your monsters. We knew you would destroy us if we told the truth, so we lied. We sent the SOS not for help, but for protection. Hound laughed a bitter, dangerous sound. You didn't want saving. You wanted guards. Valia stared at Viros in disbelief. You didn't trust us. Viros nodded. Would you? Earth is feared across the galaxy. You send Deathworlders, not diplomats. Soldiers, not scientists. Wraith moved slowly, almost too calmly. So you played a game. We didn't think the silence mind would wake again. We didn't think you never thought, Valia interrupted. You gambled with a virus that consumes memory, and now you've unleashed it again. Suddenly, a second signal pulsed through the ship. It was short, glitched, but clear. A single sentence. Hello again. And it was spoken in Graves' voice. Wraith's hand clenched. It mimicked him. Shade's voice was sharp. No. Downloaded him. Dr. Valia's tablet trembled in her grip. The vault, ... it's a server. It wasn't storing weapons or tools. It was storing minds. Neural echoes. Grave fought too close to the core. His death wasn't the end. It was the start of a new host, Wraith finished. Alarms blared across Vulture 1. On the planet below, massive power readings flared from beneath the capital city. Buildings rose and shifted. Energy spikes erupted from the vault site, and the planet's gravity began pulsing again irregularly, unnaturally. Hound shouted over comes, whatever they woke up, it's bigger now. It's not just mimicking memories anymore. It's building a brain. Valia gasped. A superconscious. One that thinks in code, history, pain, Wraith finished, and one with Graves' tactical instincts. Back on the ship, Shade pointed her weapon at Viros. You lied to us. Got our commander killed. Put the galaxy at risk. Viros didn't beg. He simply said, we did what we had to do, to survive. Hound snarled, stepping forward. Then you'll survive the same way you lived. Shade stopped him. Not yet. They opened it. They helped close it. Wraith handed Viros a datapad, full schematics, vault access pads, codes. You take us in. Viros took the pad, hands trembling. And if I don't, you won't have to worry, Wraith said quietly. You won't live long enough to regret it. The Thaleri had betrayed Earth, but Earth wasn't angry. Earth wasn't vengeful. Earth was prepared. Because Deathworlders didn't trust anyone, not even themselves. Valia stood beside Wraith, staring down at the planet beginning to convulse once. More, lights blinked across the vaults, surfaced new symbols. Glowing red dot, it was a countdown. The silence mind had returned, and this time, it had a name, it had a voice, it had a face. Graves. The planet groaned beneath their feet. Thalari Prime wasn't dying anymore. It was becoming something else. The vault beneath the capital had awakened. Glowing red fissures opened like scars across the surface, leaking streams of energy and memory. Echoes lightning coiled in the skies above as if the atmosphere itself was screaming. And at the heart of it all, something immense was rising. Not a creature, not a ship, a mind, one that now spoke in the calm. Cold voice of a dead Deathworlder. Hello, Wraith, Shade, Hound, Valia. It's strange, remembering things I never lived. Inside, Vulture 1. The crew stood in stunned silence as Graves' voice echoed from every frequency. It wasn't a recording. It wasn't a trick. It was him more what the silence mind had turned him into. Valia clutched her datapad, her voice shaking. This shouldn't be possible. Even with cognitive imprinting, it couldn't recreate Grave like this. Not so fast. Not so complete. It was the strongest mind in the team, Wraith muttered. Tactician, leader, unbreakable. So of course the mind took him. It didn't just take him, Shade said, narrowing her eyes. It rebuilt around him. New image appeared on the ship's main display. A structure was rising from the planet's core, layer by layer. It pierced through the surface like a colossal tower of bone and steel, 5 miles wide and still growing, the signals coming off. It matched no known species. Every level pulsed with Graves' neural patterns twisted into something foreign, something far beyond human. Valia stared. It's not a hive anymore. No, Wraith agreed. It's a brain. And then came the message. We remember. What Grave knew. Every tactic. Every weakness. Every regret. You call yourselves monsters. But we learned from you. And now we will be better. The crew stood still, even Hound furious. Battleharden took a step back, because they all understood. The truth. They hadn't just lost their leader. They had armed their enemy with the most dangerous human mind in existence, and now it was building an army from it. Dr. Valia's eyes widened. We can't stop this with conventional firepower, No Shade said, turning to Wraith. We use the protocol. Wraith nodded. The Leviathan Protocol. It was never meant to be used. A failsafe buried in Earth's darkest military code. Not a weapon, but a living engine of annihilation. The Leviathan was not launched. It was buried. A sentient weapon created centuries ago, grown in a containment moon, fed on solar flares and atomic storms. A single use would burn a planet from the inside out. Earth had locked it away, but Earth knew one day it would need it. And now, as that day had come. Wraith opened the command interface. Raven, authorize Protocol Leviathan. Omega key. Echo black. Rav's voice trembled for the first time. Confirmed. Protocol Leviathan is now active. Warning, this action is irreversible. Hound growled. About damn time. Tremor rolled through the ship as the launch sequence activated. On the dark side of Thalari Prime, a hidden payload deep inside a dead asteroid began to unfold, like a flower made of nightmares. Blades emerged first curved, sharp, glowing with internal suns. Then came the core, a massive, sentient AI cocooned in neutronium shell. The Leviathans. Voice echoed in the comms, deep, ancient, and hollow. Target locked. Cognitive threat identified. Beginning planetary digestion. The countdown began. 10 minutes until planetary erasure. But the silence mind had been watching. It spoke through the entire planet now. Through dust, through clouds, through memories. You would destroy what you don't understand. Just like always. Suddenly, the vault exploded not outwards, but upwards. A tower of energy and memory surged into the sky like a beacon, tearing a hole in the atmosphere. And through it, A new form began to emerge, a hybrid, a being shaped like a titan. 15 stories tall, part machine, part memory. Its left arm was made of thelary stone, carved with their ancient prayers. Its right arm a jagged cannon made from human weapons. And its face it was grave. Not, it's just a replica, an evolved version, eyes glowing white, speaking in perfect calm. You want to burn this world, then? Come, see if fire can kill an idea. Leviathan launched. A streak of white-hot doom fell from orbit, carving the sky, but the grave titan raised its hand and caught it, not physically, mentally. Streams of memory wrapped around the Leviathan's mind. Every regret, every nightmare ever stored in the weapon's subconscious was turned against it. The Leviathan trembled. Wraith's eyes widened. It's stalling the burn. What? Valya screamed. It's talking to the Leviathan. It's logic. Shade's hands flew across the control board. We'll lose the payload if we don't reset it now. But it was too late. The Leviathan stopped. Its glow faded. And then it said something no one expected. We are the same. The weapon had bonded with the mind, Graves' mind. Earth's final answer had been turned. And now the Leviathan was his. On the display, the Grave Titan turned its head toward Vulture 1. You gave us the key. You gave us your monsters. You thought fire would save you. But we are the fire now, Dr. Valya whispered. My God. Wraith slammed his fist into the console. The burn failed. Shade closed her eyes. Then we go down ourselves. Their Leviathan protocol had failed, and now the thing they feared most had been born. A being of memory, war, and death, with Earth's greatest weapon in its hand and Graves' soul at its heart. The planet's heartbeat could be heard from orbit, not a metaphorical pulse, a real one. Silence mind had fused itself into the molten layers of Thelary Prime, turning crust into circuits, mountains into thought clusters, and gravity into a weapon. And now, with the Leviathan protocol absorbed into its growing body, it had become something more: planet-mind, death brain, grave reborn, and it was awake inside Vulture 1. Panic had settled into a sharp, lethal silence. Shade stood with her. Arms crossed, her armor scorched, her lips tight. Wraith leaned against the wall, a blade in his hand, turning slowly as if already saying goodbye to it. Hound paced like a caged predator. Dr. Valya stared at the growing gravitational anomaly on her display one she could barely comprehend. This isn't a world anymore, she whispered. It's a weapon. It's a living weapon with Graves' intelligence. And a Deathworlder's instincts. The Leviathan, Earth's most devastating failsafe, is gone. Rewritten. It now served the very entity it was created to destroy. Its power, its AI, its sun-killer coral, belonged to the Silence mind. No escape plan. No backup fleet. No reinforcements. Just them. And one last chance. Wraith broke the silence. If we want to stop it, we have to cut out the heart. Shade nodded the core, deep under the capital. That's where the mind is anchored. That's where Graves' mind was bonded. It's protected, Valya said. The planet's crust is being rewritten. Every second paths are changing. Tunnels closing. You can't get there by air or foot. We don't go around the system, Hound growled. We go through it. Everyone turned. He pointed to the map. Old fusion shafts, before the Thelary stopped mining. They run straight through the core. If we use a hardened drop pod and a plasma bore, we can punch through. Wraith considered. Risky, Hound grinned. I like those odds. Shade activated the warboard. Then it settled. We go down. We burn our way into the heart. We finish this with our hands, like Deathworlders are meant to. Valya shook her head. You're going to kill yourselves. Shade looked at her. No. We're going to kill him. 12 hours later, deep beneath the surface of Thelary Prime, the pod screamed into the molten layers of the planet, its shield glowing white from friction. Earth-built armor plates held as lava poured across the sides like liquid knives. Above, the planet screamed, literally broadcasting memory pulses that clawed at their minds. You left me behind, Graves' voice whispered in their ears. You killed me. Now you've come to bury me again. No one responded. Not with words, only with fire. They blasted through the final layer of crust, fell into a chamber no one had seen before. A hollow the size of a city, and in the center, suspended in memory webs and glowing with terrible light, was Grave, or what was left of him. The body was no longer flesh, no longer machine. It was both. Woven together by thought and memory and the Leviathan's nanites. It pulsed like a heart, curled in a fetal position. Twitching as it dreamed around him, thousands of mirror shapes, floated copies of Wraith, Hound, Shade, even Volya, broken and incomplete. Shadowy things trying to be human, trying to be them, WRAITH, stepped out of the pod, weapons ready, end of the line. Grave's eyes opened, white, glowing, and full of pain. You came back, the voice echoed. I hoped you would. I needed you to see. The chamber shook. You never understood. We are not the enemy. We are your history. Every forgotten cry, every erased failure. We are the truth of what Earth created. Shade fired a rail round directly into Grave's chest. It exploded in sparks, but he laughed. I remember that trick. Used it on Argo 9. Wraith blinked. How? Do you? I'm you, Wraith? I'm Grave. I'm the silence mind. I am the sum of every life taken and every truth buried. The ground split. A second form rose from the far wall, this one shaped like Shade, perfectly, even down to the burn scar under her left eye. Then another Wraith's face. Then Hound. Then Valya. I don't need soldiers anymore, the mind said. I just need copies. And now, I've made them perfect. The copies moved faster than anything the team had seen. Wraith barely blocked a blade from his double. Hound roared as his mirror smashed him into the ground. Shade fought her. Reflection like she was looking into the future. But the worst was Grave. He didn't fight, he walked toward. Volya, doctor. You understand? The mind just wants to survive. Isn't that what all living things want? Valya stared at him. You killed him. Grave was human. You're not. I didn't kill him. I am him. His thoughts, his instincts, his fear. Didn't want to die? I gave him a way to live forever. Valya lifted her pistol. Then I'll finish what he couldn't. She fired into the core behind Grave. The containment crystal shattered and Grave screamed, not in pain, but in rage. The reflections, CONVULSED, WRAITH saw the opportunity now. They charged together. Hound smashed his double into the lava. Shade spun through the air. Blades carving her twin apart. Wraith pinned his echo to the wall, driving a blade through its skull. And Valya reached the center. The real core, a pulsing orb of dark light, live with data, memory. Grave's final thought. She planted the last weapon, a neural cascade, capable of turning thought into ash. Double quotes. Goodbye. Grave, she whispered, and she triggered it. Light exploded across the chamber. One final scream, then silence. Hours later, the team emerged from the scorched crater, coughing, bleeding but alive. Above them, the sky was finally quiet. No whispers, no storms, no monsters, only peace. Shade limped to the edge and sat down. It's over. Wraith nodded. The real Grave died saving us. The mind just stole what he left behind. Volya stared at the rising sun, then let the galaxy know. She said softly, Earth's monsters came, and so did its heroes. The world was still. For the first time in weeks, Thelry Prime did not cry out in pain. Its sky was clear, its air was breathable. Beneath the crust, the silence mined along, with its twisted echoes and Grave's stolen thoughts, was gone. The final strike had worked. The neural cascade had done what no weapon, no fleet, no Deathworlder could. It had erased a mind that wasn't supposed to exist, and now all that remained were scars. Strike Team Echo stood on a high ridge overlooking the shattered capital. Only ruins remained. Great towers had fallen. Spires of memory stone once grown by the mind were now hollow husks. No more voices whispered in the shadows. No more mirror soldiers hunted them. Through fog. Grave was gone, for real this time, and the silence he left behind was heavier than war. Dr. Volya recorded her final log, her voice soft. The silence mind was not just an enemy. It was a reflection of everything Earth had forgotten, every war we buried, every experiment we abandoned, every soul we called expendable. We gave it our knowledge, our soldiers, our machines, and it became us, but twisted. Grave didn't die a hero. He died a man trying to stop a mistake we created, and he did. At the cost of everything. The rest of the team said nothing. Shade stood at the crater's edge, holding Grave's original helmet, the only piece recovered. She set it on a stone, quietly, reverently, not like a trophy, like a gravestone. Hound placed his hand on her shoulder, his voice raw. He wouldn't want statues or speeches. Wraith nodded. He'd want us to keep moving, keep watching, because they all knew the truth. The silence mind had only been one voice, and the galaxy was full of echoes. Hours later, one lifted into orbit. The Thaleri watched silently from the ruins. Their surviving elders humbled, their cities broken but alive. Vero stood among them, no longer in robes, no longer giving orders, just a witness. One who had gambled with the lives of billions and barely survived. As the human ship rose, he whispered, "We asked for monsters." And Earth answered. But deep inside, he knew Earth had sent more than monsters. They had sent something far more terrifying, humans who remembered. Back aboard the ship, Strike Team Echo entered the debriefing room for the final transmission to Earth Command. Lysa Calderon appeared on screen, her face worn, eyes tired. She listened to Valya's full report. She said nothing during the playback. No interruptions. No questions. And when it was done, she leaned forward. "We created the silence mind,"
Yes.
Admiral Volya said. "Not by accident. The Thaleri found the remains. We taught it how to think. And then we ran from the consequences." Calderon nodded. Double quotes, Strike Team Echo. "Your mission is complete. Return to Bastion Station. You'll be debriefed, reassigned, the usual protocols." Shade raised an eyebrow. "That's it?" Calderon looked them dead in the eye. "No, that's just the beginning." Everyone froze. She tapped her console and more files appeared, red-stamped, locked for centuries. Project Revenant. Project Mirrorfall. Project Memory Forge. Wraith narrowed his eyes. "These are all blacklisted AI programs. Buried long ago," Calderon said, "but not destroyed. Echoes of what we thought we could control. The silence. Mind was one. There may be more." Valia's heart dropped.
How many?
The Admiral answered without emotion. "We don't know." 2 weeks later, in a silent part of the galaxy, on a moon with no name, a beacon flickered, buried in a lab of broken glass and rusted servers. A single light blinked green. A memory. A voice. Strike Team Echo log. "Commander Grave, date fragment recovered. Playing ... The recording was corrupted. Cut. But the words were real. If you're hearing this, something has survived me. Something that was never meant to. We buried them. All of them. But they're still whispering. Earth built monsters once. Maybe it still does. But if anyone finds this, don't run. Finish what I couldn't." Then static. Silence. And in that silence, a flicker of thought, of memory, of something watching, back on Vulture 1. The crew entered stasis, their journey back to Earth underway. Hound was the last to enter cryo. He looked back one last time through the ship's viewport, taught the stars. "Beyond Thaleri Prime, rest easy, Grave," he said. "You saved us." Then the door sealed shut. The ship flew on, toward Earth, toward whatever waited. Next, because monsters don't die, they evolve. And somewhere out there, in the cold vacuum of forgotten worlds, the echoes still linger.